Certainly we live in the world of telephones and cell phones.
Hello.
It's probably one of the most dominant forces in the world. Everybody's got them.
There is no place where you can't be reached. We're all connected.
Maybe I should just drive down there, and we can discuss this in person.
Would you save a person you don't know? And how difficult would it be for you to keep that line going?
I think this movie is a great thrill ride.
It's an incredibly fast-paced film. They don't let you catch your breath.
Hang on.
I get to take the same ride that the audience does.
Ryan, you're there!
Anything that keeps you on the edge of the seat is always fun to watch.
We've all seen their faces. They can't let us live.
My first experience pitching an idea about a telephone was way back with Alfred Hitchcock in the 60s. And one of them I cooked up was a movie that would all happen in a telephone booth. Every time I ran into him after that, he'd always say, "Well, what are you doing with our phone booth idea?" And I'd say, "Gee, I'm still working on it, Hitch, still trying to." And that ended up becoming the movie that became Phone Booth. I had the idea of taking this telephone concept and changing it from a payphone in a confined booth to a cellular phone where you could run all over the city and still be holding a conversation. It was in real time, like Phone Booth was. It all happens in consecutive time in one afternoon.
The single idea of staying on a cell phone and that someone's life is in danger and you can't lose a cell phone seems so kind of visceral and so immediate and so easy to market.
Or I'm dead!
Lauren Lloyd, the other producer on the movie, brought the script to me while we were shooting The Patriot. And I just thought it was a fantastic concept.
Shit, my battery's dying.
Do you have a charger?
The way that Larry had originally conceived it was, it's about an art heist. When I had my first meeting with Dean, he said, "I really love this concept," and he kind of had an idea to change it to be more realistic, something that if someone called your phone and said they needed help, how would you relate and what would you do?
We wanted to feel like it could happen to anybody in the middle of the day when you're off going grocery shopping and you get something that's going to be life-changing.
I'm always a big fan of movies that your hero isn't the smartest guy, your hero's not the toughest guy, but your hero is always the guy with the most heart. And I came back with a version that was similar to this.
We liked the idea, first of all, of it being in Boston, because we wanted it to be kind of a college town, and the idea that the town is kind of claustrophobic, and if somebody got a call, it would be very hard to navigate the streets. And then, for a couple of reasons, mainly because winter was coming and this movie takes place in one day, we decided to move it to Los Angeles.
After the script was ready, we went to director before we went to cast. If you want to get a great cast, they always ask, well, who's the director?
Action! David Ellis was introduced to me by New Line. They had made Final Destination 2 with David, and they were thrilled with it. He came in, and his brain was just bubbling with ideas on how to do this movie and all the things he wanted to do, and he was very excited. And the studio had enormous confidence in him.
We just had an amazing experience with David Ellis on Final Destination 2. He brought the movie on time, on budget. It was a pleasure to work with. The actors all loved him, and the movie did really well.
They felt it was worth taking a chance on me a second time, and they offered me this script, which I definitely responded to. I thought it was a great thrill ride.
David Ellis had a feeling about this kid being less kind of intellectual, but being more of a kind of a relatable kid who's hanging out at the beach on the Santa Monica Pier.
He wanted to bring it back to the beach and just thought it would be more visual, like out on the pier or like in California where it's like less clothing.
Jeez, man, this is the greatest cell phone ever made. It is, I'm not kidding.
When we ultimately decided to change it from Boston, at first I was really hesitant because anytime you see a movie set in LA, it breaks that barrier for the audience. Suddenly it feels very Hollywood. And the more we thought about it, the more we realized, God, what a perfect place to set this, because nobody in LA does not have a cell phone.
He's the one on the cell phone, you idiot.
They were wise to come back to LA because this is the cell phone capital of the world.
Hold on a second, I'm emailing this video to my computer. It's gonna be my new screensaver.
When I read this script, what I was looking for in particular was I was looking for something that was lower budget, an action movie that had a young actor that could become an action star.
The script was one of those scripts you just burn through it, you know? It's like you're watching the movie as you read it, so I couldn't put it down. And I said to my agent, that's the one, that's the only thing I care about.
He's 22 years old. The depth of emotion and feeling for a 22-year-old, it's astounding. I mean, he's definitely the next Tom Cruise, without a doubt. guys want to be him and women want to date him or hang out with him. He has a sense of humor about himself, and he's a great observer. I think that's where he hits his depth of character. And when Chris came in and read, I thought I was watching the movie. He was so focused and so in the moment and so real that we said, this has to be our kid. He's just the real thing. And it's so rare to find that.
Jessica, come on, say something.
I mean, he's working with nothing. He is out there in a car or on the street by himself with a cell phone that doesn't work. Someone yells action, and now he's got to make you believe that there's a woman on the other end who is bawling her guts out, convincing him to help her, and he sold it.
You knew where he was, Jess. If you know stuff, you got to tell these guys.
He had a really difficult chore, but he did a really great job with it. It's hard to act to somebody on the phone.
Don't, please. Don't.
They gave me a little earpiece that they stick in my ear, so it has a quality. It's like you're talking on a cell phone.
Oh, God, no.
And I thought back to most everything I've done in film. I've never really had very many phone scenes. So it's interesting to try and think about the things that you do subconsciously when you're on the telephone, along with driving. The whole movie is on the phone, driving in a car.
Who is this, Chloe?
My name is Jessica Martin. I need your help.
It's a challenging position to be in, to try to convince someone that you are going to be killed by someone, that you have been kidnapped.
This is for real. I don't know where I am. I'm locked up in an attic somewhere.
Kim is a very serious actress. She's played comedies, she's played dramas, she's an Oscar winner. She came to this role with an enormous amount of discipline. While it's very tempting to just want to be everyone's friend on a set and get to know everyone and hang out, she really isolated herself because her character was isolated. And that sense of isolation comes across in her performance.
I hear you.
From the time she got to work, she prepared herself to be a woman in jeopardy. She really gets into it. She comes to the set listening to headphones. She already looks like she's been crying, and she puts herself right in the mood.
I had everybody leave the set, just the very few people who had to be there. So I wanted to feel like I was locked up in this dungeon, so to speak, and see how I would attempt to get out and what I had to go through. I sort of loved it in a way. I got used to my little cubby hole next to the pole.
I would have Chris on the other side of the phone, but she doesn't know what he looks like or anything that she could use to try to manipulate him to help her or play off of.
There was never an ego in her performance. She wasn't trying to look pretty. So she was always pushing the limit of how far we could go in a scene. So it would be real and it would be intense.
In some of the scenes we didn't rehearse. So when Jason came up and took his belt off and wrapped it around her neck around this post and started choking her, she had no clue he was going to do that. And the performance is chilling.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
We did one take and it was, brilliant.
You have a little boy.
Jason Statham was always my first choice as far as Ethan, the bad guy, because he's great in Transporter and everything he's done. He's just amazing.
He's just electrifying. He's one of these guys who, once he's on the screen, it's hard to take your eyes off of him. We wanted our villain to not only be frightening,
Get out of the car!
to be charismatic, to be a leader, a powerful character. And Jason brings all of that to the role. Jason has an enormous physical ability as well as an enormous emotional ability.
Do you want to die here?
He's terrifying, he really is. You watch him on playback, you're just like, God, I would not want to bump into this guy in a dark alley. He's just mean. The nicest guy in the world, but mean.
Shut up!
It's always fun to be, to play a baddie. It's a little bit unpredictable, or you can play them that way. They're not quite as restricted as most other characters.
No, I've got loofahs out my ass. What I want is a refund.
The idea is always to try to find actors who are going to help elevate the material. And when William H. Macy said that he was interested in playing Mooney, it was so exciting because he's such an incredible actor and he's so loved by his audience.
It's all right. I'm a policeman.
But he also gives the signal to people that he's a quality actor and this is going to be a quality movie.
I'm a cop and have been for 27 years, so let's just cut the bullshit, pal.
I felt upon reading that it stands a good chance of being a classic chase kind of movie.
It's me, Mooney, from the police station. No, wait, do it.
Here's an actor that I love everything he's done from Fargo to State and Maine to all of his movies. He's just so good. The Cooler, everything that he's been in, he is so good in.
He's one of these actors who can't do anything in a cliche way. He has to make every moment original, spontaneous. When someone has that level of skill and ability, they can really do anything. They just have to be given the chance.
It was clear what the character has to do. He's the good cop in this little nest of bad cops, and he's the good guy who picks up on Chris's story early on and shows up for the showdown at the end.
What's important is that you believe I will put a bullet in your skull if you don't let him up.
And I've got a great role because I'm the levity in the thing. I mean, I'm the only guy that really gets any laughs, hopefully.
You haven't been kidnapped today, have you?
You know, I'm a stunt guy, I'm gonna direct Bill Macy, you know? I go, Jesus, what have I done?
David Ellis had spent many years as a second unit director before he became a feature film director. And so he had used every kind of technique for every kind of action sequence there is. For him, it wasn't enough to just kind of have cars crash into each other. That wasn't interesting to him. What seemed to be most interesting to David was new ways in which to present an action sequence.
We've known each other since we were 15 years old. We started in the business together. David was a great stuntman, and David knew what he wanted to do all along, and he's doing it.
David Ellis is quite the professional. He knows exactly what he wants. He's on top of it. If things get out quick, they're efficient.
David's done so much second unit stuff and a lot of action adventure and a lot of stunts, and he doesn't boggle himself up with making art. You know, when you get it, you move on. The second unit guys seem to be better at that. When you get the shot, move on, because he knows what he's looking for. He's cut the thing in his head. He's an experienced filmmaker, and we're moving along at a clip here.
Cut, print, great.
He's used to working at a fast pace, and I think it's probably the first movie I've ever done where we were wrapping early almost every day.
What he brings to the set is a great joy of making movies and a great knowledge of how to do it. When I get scripts like this, the first thing you do is say, okay, we're going to have to find a good second unit guy to do all this action so our director can concentrate on the movie. This director says, well, we'll do both. And we'll do it in the same amount of time that you would have to do it if you had a second unit.
Action! Don't kill him yet.
David keeps a very fun set. I mean, he's a guy who doesn't take himself too seriously, or any of Hollywood for that matter. So he likes to keep a light set. He likes to keep things fun and keep things moving.
He's such a enthusiastic coach that you want to constantly, like, up the ante.
I mean, I haven't worked with a lot, not any other directors, but he is just the most laid-back, organized, cool guy that you could work with in my head. Psycho director.
The man is not going to have a heart attack or anxiety over anything. Roams around the set like there's nothing else to do except put it on film.
Okay, we'll do one more. Set it up again.
Most of the movies we do are in Europe, and you know, they don't sell many flip-flops over there.
You think he's just a surfer dude from Maui or something.
Yeah, he's just a dude. He's just a surfer guy.
Dude, let's do this. Dude, let's do that. How can you say no to somebody who calls you dude? He is the dude.
Action!
Because he's a dude, the women are astoundingly good-looking. There's a lot of babosity up there, and I think we can thank David for that. It sure makes the day go well.
Every day's a good day at work for me. I mean, it really is. I love what I do.
You know, with an enormous amount of movies being shot in Canada now and overseas to save money, one of the things we're really proud about is that we were able to actually shoot this here in Los Angeles.
I strongly believe that we could do the best film for the money that we wanted to make the film, with the surroundings of Santa Monica and Venice, and give it the kind of beachy flavor that it has. But most importantly for me, it enabled me to get the best crew possible and to use the best stuntmen in the world that I'm really comfortable working with and that I've worked with for 30 years.
Awesome. When they're out of the way.
Awesome.
Good, huh?
And we really, really used the beauty of Los Angeles and shot it in a way that I don't think it's been shot yet. And so that's pretty exciting.
We were really able to show Los Angeles at breakneck speed, because this movie can never stop. And so he has to go from LAX to the beach to downtown at nonstop speed. It was really kind of fun to rediscover Los Angeles again.
Change of plans. I gotta get to Century City, fast.
The greatest challenge of the movie is that it all takes place over one day.
Action!
But yet when you shoot a movie, it'll take place over a couple months. So to try to have a couple months all look like the same day when the movie is nearly entirely outdoors, is an enormously difficult task, because the reality is, even though we have fairly consistent weather in Los Angeles, one day is foggy, one day is sunny, one day has clouds, one day has rain. So we always had to use tricks, and we had to be very careful in the way we shot things so that it would all seem like the same day.
The fact that it takes place in one day is a gift and it's a curse. I think it's more of a curse technically because we have to match everything. It's almost easier kind of acting within one day. Your journey kind of happens in such a compact time.
You know what? This isn't a bad thing. I can actually follow them to where they're holding you, and I can call the cops.
In the beginning stages of pre-production, David called me and said we're going to use the MIC rig, which is a self-contained vehicle which has the picture car mounted on it so that it can do stunts. There's no room for a sound man or anybody else but a cameraman and an operator. So he said, well, how are you going to do sound? And I said, well, you know, we're going to have to do it remote. We have to stay within range of a moving vehicle. The only way to do that is to be moving at the same rate of speed the vehicle is moving. The best way to do it would be with a radio van.
Hey, listen to me. I'm not going to let that happen.
The first name for this van was the command van. Everything comes from here. We tell the actors what to do. We tell the drivers what to do. The seats are situated so we can see the monitors here on the side. We have cues that are going to Chris, and we talk to him with this microphone here and transmit it to him. Our first AD has this, and he can talk to everybody on a PA that we have on the roof.
Glamorous and have some fun.
Along with our microwave antennas, along with our video antennas. We're a self-contained rig. We have a generator power that powers all the video monitors. All the sound is running on a generator as well. We decided what we had to do, and then we sat down and designed something that would accomplish what we needed to do.
I can borrow your car. No, sir. Hey, John, I need some help here.
So we chose the security car for the humor. We wanted a car that couldn't go very fast, that looked really dorky. So we looked at all the pictures of the smallest possible car that we could put him in, because it becomes like a character in the movie.
Jessica, I'm here.
Chris did a lot of the driving himself. We sent him to a stunt driving school for a week's worth of training, and he did a phenomenal job.
It's a school that is primarily for stunt people. So there's about 5 people in the class. I'm the only person who's an actor.
He can do a reverse 180, he can do a 180, a 90. I mean, he did great.
The first 4 weeks of the movie, we shot Wednesday through Sunday because we closed down streets that we could only get on the weekends. Because of the time we were shooting it, because there's not a lot of films happening in LA right now, we had a collection of stunt drivers and stunt men who are all stunt coordinators on their own. That was like world class.
When you're working with 35, 40 guys on, say, the highway sequence that we did, it really helps if you tell them exactly what the scene is.
You need to be right here.
On the day when right before we do a large sequence, we will use the little matchbox cars, and everybody knows which car they're in. And to show them the line that the stunt guy in the hero vehicle is gonna take.
Brian should be clearing here.
David and Freddie and I drew out a lot of diagrams so that everybody understands exactly what's going to happen, so that it will come off exactly how it's supposed to happen.
Doing near-miss stuff when you're going the wrong way on a highway is tricky stuff. Because you have a car that's traveling 60 miles an hour against cars that are traveling 60 miles an hour, and the plan is not to crash. So you don't have roll cages and stuff and helmets on the stunt people in every single car. Everybody knows what they have to do, know where they have to go, and it's really a matter of split-second timing that makes it all work.
It's always safety first, but you have to think of everything that could go wrong, and then what else can go wrong. If you do your homework, everything runs perfect.
There was one scene where I cut through a construction site. And that's one they actually let me do. No 180s, no 360s, but I got to do some messy driving. It was like go-karts, but really high-tech.
We call that the motocross track, because we built it like a little racetrack.
It was just a vacant field that we chose.
Jay Hinkle, our production designer, and myself went up there and just designed it like it was like a little motocross track.
And we actually had someone come in who knew motocross tracks, actually come and grade this whole big whoop-de-doo so that he would have a path to take.
Best stunt in a construction area, a new category.
It's almost like no acting is required. You just let it happen and good take.
You still there?
We have a cement truck that destroys a cop car. They really run a cement truck into a little car. I mean, it's pretty exciting to be able to stand 20 feet away and watch this thing just completely get demolished.
I had to stand 20 yards away from this explosion, and I've never even seen an explosion before, so it was just,
We had to find a tunnel that he finds himself in and has to back out of. And there's one tunnel in Los Angeles that everybody uses, which is the 2nd Street Tunnel. You know, after looking all over the place for something that was new and fresh, we realized that why fix something that's not broke? We went back to the 2nd Street Tunnel and lit it, and it's perfect.
We shot the tunnel sequence over a couple-week span because we had to shut down part of downtown LA, so we shot on the weekends. We had a $100,000 Porsche going in there, doing a 180 and then a reverse 180 coming out with 30, 35 cars sliding at him all in queue.
Nice.
You make one mistake in there, you buy a new Porsche. We actually took Chris in that Porsche and put it on a rig so we could tow him through it and everything, and a lot of the reaction you got on Chris was real.
David really likes to use the actors as much as he can to get closer in on them. So you don't have to always see the back of their head when they're in a fight.
We'll work out what David needs to see, and I'll do it with the 2 stunt doubles first, just so we don't have to waste the actor's time. We'll walk it through, and we'll actually do the fight to time. And then we'll bring the actors in, we'll let them see it, and then also they'll have to add their personal touch, because something might not work for them as well.
I'm not a fan of doing these fights because they hurt and they're technical and they're somewhat dangerous.
All we try to do is get the actors to slow down a little bit. Everybody, stunt people too, have a tendency to speed up because you know your adrenaline gets going and they yell action and all hell's breaking loose, and you try to keep the tempo down and do it in sections. The longer it becomes, the more chance there is for a mistake or somebody getting bopped in the nose.
As an actor, you still get beat up. I mean, I've got some serious bruises just from landing on the floor. You look at something like this and you think, well, anybody could do that. You just got to fall to the floor. But it's different the 12th time you fall to the floor. They pad us up, and you can throw yourself around when you're padded. But the stunt guys will go through the plate glass window, and they do a lot of the really nasty stuff. They're extraordinary athletes.
Chris had most of the big stunts. You know, he's running out of the ocean and jumping over railings.
Chris did the first half of it. We couldn't send him into the water. He did go about 15 feet into a catcher that we built, and he did that 4 or 5 times, did a great job.
David got out there with him in the water, and they're in wetsuits. He has a wetsuit under his wardrobe, but, you know, we had some good-sized waves, and he had to come underneath the pilings. He did a fantastic job.
The ocean was terrible when it's cold and it stinks of fish and the water's freezing, and just being fully clothed in the ocean just sucks.
We've got another sequence where he jumps into a trash chute from a construction site. He'll free ride it. It's about 60 feet. And it'll spit him out into a big catcher that we've made down below. And we'll do 1 or 2 shots with the double, but we'll do 2 or 3 shots with him. He's been great. I mean, he can do anything. You can just kill him, and he likes it, so he's been awesome.
What's the matter with you, huh?
I love to get physical. I think it's a big part of the game of acting.
It's really a movie about social and moral responsibility. Do we help people? And why do we help people? What is the reward? And in this film, the reward is helping people. That in itself is the reward and reason enough to justify helping.